Namaskara, the South Indian is here. You know, it is said very clearly that when a civilization, when a community, when a country starts burning libraries, destroying books, and starts brainwashing children, that is when it is supposed to be a serious problem. Why sully their minds? Why give them ideas? Let them form their own ideas. Why is it that we always have to dominate their minds 24/7? Do this, don't do this. If you do this, this will happen, so on and so forth. And we as adults are the first ones when they form opinion to say, but you know, someone maybe didn't bring you up well, your teachers are at fault. We've all heard it. I've heard it. I'm that much older. I've said this to my kids. My kids have heard it. Their kids will hear it. We have to stop this. That's our main story today. I'm going to talk about how Karnataka has erupted over the great poet laureate, the man who's called Rashtrakavi. Kuvempu's tagline, the original tagline, which has now been altered a bit. I don't know who does these things, but whoever does it to try and touch Kuvempu's work must be some kind of a person. You know, and also I was thinking about it today when I read this news item, that there is something about education in Karnataka that it seems to attract controversies like moths are attracted to light. The hijab row, which had turned students into activists, remember? And the way politicians had used it perfectly well to further their respective causes. Remember the committee formed under former Chief Minister Basavaraj Bommai, which had made additions and deletions much to the chagrin of the Congress party at that time, and how the Congress party was so ballistic about how can you make the change. And wait, I accept it. Even I think that you don't have to spoon feed kids just because, you know, your politics actually allies with some writer's writings. National education policy, which was extremely contentious and was used perfectly in the run-up to the assembly elections by both parties. It's now the season for the big election, the Lok Sabha, and Karnataka has erupted in yet another controversy over schools. A sudden change in an inspirational line or writing was noticed at the entrance of schools and colleges which operate under the Social Welfare Department. Let me tell you specifically the Morarji Desai residential schools across the state. Amongst other things, the department, that is the social welfare, conducts several education oriented programs. This is just I'm telling you in case some of you may not know. The writing was apparently suddenly changed on Monday based only on an oral order from a bureaucrat. Just an oral order. You will ask me, what was the inspirational line or writing about which there is such a controversy? On Monday morning, students and parents were taken aback when they noticed an alteration to the famous line by Rashtrakavi, a poet laureate, educationist, Kuvempu, which adorned all government schools in Karnataka, which said, "This is a temple of knowledge. Come inside with folded hands." Of course, in Kannada. This is a temple of knowledge. Come inside with folded hands. The change was stark and unmissable. It now read, "This is the temple of knowledge. Ask boldly." I mean, the two lines don't even kind of synchronize. This is a temple of knowledge. Ask boldly. So it is apparent that the change was made by Karnataka Social Welfare Department, which raised a major hue and cry in the assembly. The BJP has demanded that the order be withdrawn immediately and accused the Congress of brainwashing children's minds. Former Chief Minister Basavaraj Bommai accused the Congress of creating a confrontation in the society and said Congress government was trying to make political mileage by creating confrontation in the society as well as in the minds of every person. Meanwhile, BJP State President B.Y. Vijendra accused the Congress of being anti-Hindu. He said, and I am quoting him here, "Schools are pure places, but the Congress's anti-Hindu mentality has forced a senior IAS officer to issue an oral order in this regard."
ಜ್ಞಾನ ದೇಗುಲವಿದು ಜ್ಞಾನ ಪಡ್ಕೊಳ್ಳೋದಕ್ಕಿದೆ. ಪ್ರಶ್ನೆ ಮಾಡೋದೇನು ತಪ್ಪಲ್ಲ, ಆದರೆ ಒಂದು ಸಂಘರ್ಷವನ್ನು ಮಕ್ಕಳ ಮನಸ್ಸಿನಲ್ಲಿಯೇ ಮೂಡಿಸುವಂಥ ಕೆಲಸ ಸರ್ಕಾರ ಮಾಡಬಾರ್ದು. ಇವತ್ತು ಸರ್ಕಾರ ಹೆಂಗೆ ನಡೆದಿದೆ ಅಂತಂದು ಅದು ತೋರಿಸ್ತದೆ. ಸಮಾಜದಲ್ಲಿ ಮಕ್ಕಳಿಂದ ಹಿಡಿದು ಎಲ್ಲ ಕಡೆ ಸಂಘರ್ಷವನ್ನು ಉಂಟು ಮಾಡಿ, ಕ್ಷೋಭೆಯನ್ನು ಉಂಟು ಮಾಡಿ ತಮ್ಮ ರಾಜಕೀಯ ರೊಟ್ಟೆಯನ್ನು ಸುಟ್ಕೊಳ್ಳೋ ಪ್ರಯತ್ನವನ್ನು ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ. ಸರ್ಕಾರ ಎಚ್ಚೆತ್ಕೋಬೇಕು. ಮೊದಲು ಮಕ್ಕಳಿಗೆ ಅನ್ನ ಕೊಡಬೇಕು, ಆಮೇಲೆ ಜ್ಞಾನ ಕೊಡಬೇಕು.
According to the Social Welfare Department officials, there was no official order in this regard and instructions were given through the Telegram account.
ನಾವು ಕುವೆಂಪುರವರ ಆಚಾರ ವಿಚಾರ ನಾವು ಪ್ರಚಾರ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇರೋದು. ನಾವೇ ಭಾರತ ಜನನಿಯ ತನುಜಾತೆ ಜಯ ಹೇ ಕರ್ನಾಟಕ ಮಾತೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿ, ಸರ್ವ ಜನಾಂಗದ ಶಾಂತಿಯ ತೋಟ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿ ನಾವೇ ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಕಾಂಗ್ರೆಸ್ ಸರ್ಕಾರನೇ ಈ ರಾಜ್ಯದ ಜನತೆಗೆ ನಾವು ಮತ್ತೆ ಅವರು ನೆನಪು ಮಾಡಿಕೊಂಡು ಪ್ರತಿದಿನ ಬದುಕಿನಲ್ಲಿ ಅಳವಡಿಸ್ಕೊಳ್ಬೇಕು ಅಂತೇಳಿ ನಾವು ಹೇಳಿರೋದು. ಸೊ ಇವತ್ತು ಕೂಡ BJP ಯಾರು ನಿಮ್ಗೆ ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ, ನಮ್ಮ ಕುವೆಂಪುರವ್ರಿಗೆ ನಾವು ಎಷ್ಟು ಶಕ್ತಿ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ದೀವಿ, ಅವರ ವಿಚಾರಗಳನ್ನು ಯಾವ ರೀತಿ ಪ್ರಚಾರ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀವಿ ಅಂತೇಳಿ ಅವ್ರು ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿ. ಅವ್ರಿಗೇನು ಬೇರೆ ಕೆಲಸ ಇಲ್ಲ.
Like I said right at the beginning, what is it about Karnataka that there is always some hue and cry when it comes to education? Is the latest controversy allegedly a case of dereliction of duty on the part of some bureaucrat, or a mindset which belittles one of the greatest icons of Karnataka, Kuvempu? Let's debate. Joining me on this debate, Nizam Fauzdar, General Secretary and Spokesperson, KPCC, GS Prashanta, who's spokesperson for the BJP, Professor Chambi Puranik, political analyst, and Shashi Kumar, General Secretary of Karnataka Association of Management Schools, and we shall also be later joined by yet another guest, and I shall tell you when that happens. Namaskara to all of you, a very, very warm welcome. We shall talk to about politics in a bit, but I want to ask two gentlemen on this panel today who are involved in education, academics. Professor Puranik, what is it? What do you make of this? Enter this, it's a temple of knowledge with folded hands, and to say this is a temple of knowledge, ask boldly. First of all, I think it's a copyright infringement, if I understand right, because I've also been in publishing, and you can't change the line or even a word of someone like Kuvempu. Like Rabindranath Tagore, where the mind is without fear, I cannot say where their mind is not terrified. I can't do that. I'll be taken to court. But you know, the mindset behind it, Professor Puranik, what is going on, sir?
Sudha, I feel very sad and depressed, for this kind of perverted or irrelevant kind of change or tampering with the tagline given by the famous poet laureate you mentioned. He really again, because personally I have seen him for till his loss. He was his own follower and admirer, and we have read all his books. And the very fact that he has given this tagline itself shows how he is trying to make people enlightened and cultured, and also feel high or proud about their whatever the kind of creations that we have in front of us, and the institutions that impart such values, civilizational. So he's a man with spiritual knowledge. He was also a person who promoted scientific temperament. You're feeling you throw away this moudya, the ignorance and the wrong kind of perceptions that you have. Such a person, he has called it as Hana Degula, a temple of learning. Nehru called the new industries as new temples. Same way, Kuvempu try to import or inculcate such values right from childhood in all of us, and including many of the tall stalwarts who have been in power the past and present also. So I think it is a controversy which I think government has not been made known. Mr. Siddaramaiah or D.K. Kumar, who just now spoke, he also mentioned that we respect poet laureate Kuvempu a lot. But I think the priorities of government are good administration. to provide good facilities for the residential schools, especially meant for the poor and the depressed and oppressed people. I will give you one or two small examples in a few seconds.
Yes, sir.
That the very residential schools which are there in near Tumkur district and other places, the 17 schools were not given or supplied with rice, and that rice, it was given by Siddaganga Mutt as a loan to these 17 residential schools where children should not go hungry. This is the kind of situation that you have in administration. Why you sir? Second thing is, we all talk about against corruption. Recently, very balanced budget has been provided for people of that. So I would say that this kind of whatever changing tagline or tampering, as apart from what you said, is not only violation of copyright, but it's an insult to our poetry.
It is a big insult.
Yes. Avoiding. So such a person's tagline, if it is perverted or twisted, what is the alternative you have given?
Yes.
Question with correct. What do you want to question is correct? Corruption or bad administration, maladministration, and the kind of wrong things that are happening in society in the young minds. They are all very impressive ages.
Exactly. Yeah.
So I think such kind of whatever perversion should not be imposed on them. This is as a teacher for more than 5 or 6 decades, I feel sad for this, and I think that I appeal to Siddaramaiah and the government to withdraw it immediately and make corrections and respect it. Dividing the respect for the poet laureate Kuvempu. Whereas, in Lal Bagh, he has given.
All right. Okay. Yeah. All right. Yeah.
You come with folded hands, humility. That kind of submission
Yeah.
you would love to.
Yeah, that's what. It's very sad. Shashi, you and I have done a lot of shows about how kids are not given school bags, not given shoes. They don't have any kind of facilities. Karnataka is busy doing this now. Kuvempu, this great poet laureate, and what an icon he is. I have read his books, I have read his writings in translation. Tomorrow everyone, whether it is Akka Mahadevi or Basavanna, whatever it is, they belong, it's a heritage. Do you, and someone has noticed it, to say that this is a temple of knowledge, come inside with folded hands, what is wrong with it? Anyway, folded hands is also not something which is only recognizable for a particular religious community. But what is this going on, Shashi? What is happening?
Sudha, very, very unfortunate, because again, such a things, earlier the government has had a very, very bad time for bringing politics into the school affairs. Now again, let us not see this also as a political drama. And unfortunately, I don't know whether the education minister knew about this oral instruction, either the chief minister or deputy chief minister who is reacting. Does they know about this? What is this verbal order? Again, it is surprising. It is a devotional touch for students to come into the school. Instead of that, putting them into negative aspects, that courageously question what's wrong. When it is inside the class, definitely let every child be given opportunity to question their teacher, their system without any regret. But it should not be a tagline. Remaining such a big, prestigious poets tweaking that is really not acceptable. Unfortunate development, and I condemn this. And if at all the concerned minister or concerned education minister, if they knew earlier and if they have the concerns over this, definitely it is a regret. Please withdraw. Don't politicize. If at all you change these taglines, whether the quality increases, my simple question to you all brainies, whether the quality increases if some taglines are changed, some system whatever it is, uniform or other than something else which is within the curriculum.
Right.
If you change, is that quality is going to change?
Hold that thought,
Better
Shashi. I have to
focus
take
on
a
the
break.
quality.
Then I'll go to Nizam Fauzdar and also Prashanta. I have to take a break right now, and this is a very important announcement Ladies and gents, we are counting down to the big event that News9 is organizing this coming weekend. The News9 Global Summit is about the new India that is recognized as a rising economic power and a major global player. The theme of the summit is how India is poised for the next big leap. The What India Thinks Today Summit is being organized by the TV9 Group, and this edition of the summit is unmissable because the keynote address is by Prime Minister Narendra Modi. What India Thinks Today Summit, which is on 25th and 26th as well as 27th of February. Please.
From Fragile 5 to Top 5, from a laggard to a leader, India under Modi has reimagined the world order. Presenting the second edition of TV9, What India Thinks Today. Summit theme, India poised for the next big leap. Listen to Prime Minister Modi unveil his vision for Viksit Bharat at News9 Global Summit, a TV9 network initiative.
The South Indian is back. You know, Prime Minister Narendra Modi always harps on knowledge, which is the greatest treasure that this country has, and the future which is held by little children who are studying in schools, middle school, high school, and perhaps young adults in colleges. But this is what is happening in Karnataka. You know, it has erupted today over a man who is unbelievably iconic in Karnataka and across India, I think, Kuvempu. His tagline for schools, there is a big brouhaha about it. Let me now go to the other guests who have joined us. Nizam Faujdar, an order which is issued, it's an oral order, apparently it's on a telegram account. It's the bureaucrat is now, there is a big hullabaloo about who said this. Your government seems to be, you know, things are getting out of hand for your government, huh, Nizam Faujdar? You know, a tagline by such a great icon, you know, it's like Nehru's tryst for destiny speech at the stroke of the midnight hour. If I change it, it's a copyright infringement, it's a great insult to a great son of this country. How can you change the tagline?
Sudha, this very tagline says, question with courage. Now the BJP is really afraid that, you know, people will become more courageous to ask questions to these people, because these people are absolutely afraid of anybody asking questions. So they basically want submission and not courage. So this is one side of the story. The BJP needs to answer. Mr. Prime Minister Modi, to the chief ministers across this country have to answer, why did they close down 55,000 schools across the country? And is that not an atrocity on the people of this country? Is it not the atrocity on the small children who wanted to gain knowledge and really be educated? Why did they close this 55,000 schools across the country?
Why did you change the tagline? Who's changed the tagline? No, let's stick to the topic, Nizam.
No, I have to see, the question today is just not about the tagline. There's nothing wrong with the tagline.
It is about the tagline.
From a folded and humble, you know, humility to the being courageous. I think everything
folded hands is about servitude, is it, Nizam?
No, the question today is, who said folded arms? I'm only saying it's humility. I'm also saying, along with humility, the people of this country need to have the courage to question the authorities.
I just don't understand.
And let them question it. No, the question today is, why did the Modi close 55,000 schools across the country? And what is the behest of it? Now tell me, the debate has to be on these lines. Now, when the GDP between 2014 to 2014 was about 8.5%, and today is about 5.6%. The debt was 55 lakh crores. Today it's 210 lakh crores.
No, but Nizam, you are deflecting, and you know,
No,
this
I'm
is
not
one thing. It's
deflecting.
about
I'm
little,
saying-
no.
I am
Humility
saying,
is a
I'm
great thing.
saying-
You cannot, Prashanta, please come in.
I'm only saying that the BJP
Mr. Nizam,
is
you had your
afraid
time, now
of
please
people
wait.
who
Yeah.
are more
Please
courageous.
wait.
Okay, fine.
They don't like
Prashanta.
courage.
Please
They
wait.
don't
Yeah.
like the freedom fighters.
right.
That's why they keep demeaning them.
Yeah, right. Prashanta, go ahead.
So, firstly, this action by the government, now they cannot shift the blame to the IAS saying whether he did it on a Telegram account or WhatsApp or Signal. That's not the case. This is done with complete conscience by Siddaramaiah, DK Shivakumar and Priyank Kharge. And the reason may baffle you that insulting Kuvempu is one thing. Definitely, it requires a lot of introspection. Congress and saying what morals do you have to continue when they are insulting Kuvempu here. Be that as it may, on the other hand, what baffles is how it is linked to Siddaramaiah's budget speech, in which, talking about minority welfare, for minorities, he wants to open 50 Morarji Desai residential schools. So therefore, when he is wanting to open 50 new Morarji Desai residential schools for minorities, he wants this statement to be undone. He doesn't want Kuvempu there. Because Siddaramaiah thinks that we are treating it as a temple of knowledge, going in folded hands. He thinks it is only a Hindu way. He is now not even thinking about knowledge. He is thinking people who pray with folded hands are only Hindus, and therefore he is depicting anti-Hindu mindset. He wants to appease the minorities. I'll tell you what he has done in the budget, which will be an eye-opener for the other panelists also. What he has done here, he has allotted 100 crores for Waqf development, whereas nothing for temples. Come to education, which is the point of order today.
Right, okay.
For Karnataka public schools, he says it will be developed on CSR funds. UVC college, he gives 100 crores grant.
Yeah,
400
Prashanta,
crores will
but
be
you know,
funded
yeah,
from
all that is
CSR
fine.
funds and
But
alumni.
I am very, you know, the
Whereas-
thing is that we have to sometimes in life,
Sudha, let me
we have to
complete.
move from
Let me complete
politics
my
and
point.
look at the
Sudha,
entire.
can I
No, you
answer
have
this
listed,
question?
Sudha,
both
let me
of you are
complete.
listing stuff because that's your job. I want, these are children who are involved. These
I
are
answer this?
residential
Let me
schools
complete
here.
the points, Taji. It
Yeah.
can't so happen that
Quickly,
every time
quickly.
that you interrupt in between. Let me complete
But
my
you
point
can't,
about
you know,
education.
Prashant, quickly, I have other guests to go to, no.
Yes, I would.
He
Give me
will
20
not
seconds, I will
speak
complete
sense,
it.
Sudha.
I would complete it. You look at it. For UVCE, he wants CSR funds
Wow.
and alumni funds. Whereas for minorities, there is a largesse from the government.
All right,
Waqf
done.
board,
I've
he wants to
got
give
your
training
point.
to Maulvis.
Yeah, I've got you. Professor Puranik, you know, I just want to, I'll come to you, Nizam. It's Professor Puranik I want on the screen now. Professor Puranik, this, you know, whole day Hindu, anti-Hindu, pro-minority, pro-Christian, you know, education should be above that. You've been an educationist. You've been a teacher, sir. I'm asking you this. You know, any kind of an order, I am baffled today that this order is sent not as an official order, sir. No one knows how come a bureaucrat managed to do this. Prashant says, and he has a point, he says, look, they sent the oral order, it must have the ratification of the government. How can a bureaucrat just do things of his own volition? My whole point is, what is this kind of mismanagement which is going on? Who is it deliberate? Is it mischief making? Professor Puranik, we need to, you know, actually call out all these things very strongly.
Yeah, I agree with you. I also want to bring it to the notice of your viewers. You know, the Minister for School Education, he has objected to it. And he says, you know, how can we change the tagline of the famous poet Kuvempu? So, you know, that itself shows there is some kind of, I don't say manipulation or violation of the protocol, you know, in terms of such sensitive decisions. You know, so therefore, I think, you know, the government probably, you know, Mr. Siddaramaiah and Shivakumar may definitely will review this also. So the mistake has happened. It's not only mistake, it's a blunder. So I think, you know, to say don't salute the teacher and enter the classroom or the temple of learning, it doesn't speak of any ideology. It speaks of values, human culture, the very ethos of the kind of system that we have in
This bureaucrat should be warned, Professor. This bureaucrat, he should be warned. Someone has to take responsibility, Professor Chambi Puranik. It can't be that you just pass such oral orders and then sit tightly there. Would you
It's an
agree to that?
irresponsible order. Yes, it's an irresponsible order.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah, Shashi, I want to come to you this entire thing about how folding hands is humility. Some people are saying, oh, it shows servitude. You know, I am your servant. Servitude is in service of, as it were. Courage is to be upfront. Bold is, I understand. We have to tell our kids to be bold, to be upfront. But, you know, don't you think that by changing that tagline, children are not going to become bold in 24 hours? No, it takes a lifetime, no? Shashi, you deal with all young
Absolutely,
kids.
Sudha.
Huh.
No doubt. I am surprised of these politicians. It is shameful that politicians are politicizing as per their political agendas. But unfortunately, such changes will never increase the quality of learning. If that was the real intent, definitely they could have done in front of the blackboard, in the upper of the blackboard, question courageously, but not to the entrance of the schools or a classroom, saying that or changing that particular tagline of older. And it is disgusting. And if at all education minister has regretted it, please see that, as you said, please take a very serious
Connection to Shashi. Let me also get Dr. Niranjan Aradhya VP, who's fellow and program head and National Law School of India, University of Bangalore. He's joining us on the phone line. Dr. Niranjan Aradhya, can you hear me?
Yes.
Dr. Niranjan Aradhya, what do you think about this entire, you know, actually tampering with the tagline given by the great Kuvempu, you know, where they said that enter, this is a temple of knowledge with folded hand, instead of saying that, you know, ask boldly, show courage. Don't you think it's on two folds? One, it's a breach of copyright, and secondly, this seems to be some kind of political mischief.
Sorry, just, to begin with a small correction, I am not, there in law school now. I am a development education. Sorry for that correction.
And my apologies for that, doctor.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, sir.
So, yeah. See, basically, we were all, kind of discussing issues related to education. Education is more a tool for liberation, emancipation, and develop, education has to make children to learn a set of important skills like, basically critical thinking, kind of problem solving and, things like that. So all of us are, kind of discussing the issue of democratizing the education, where many a times education is seen as a tool for subjugation. So whatever Kuvempu said long back, particularly entered these premises, which is a learning temple, they have not really tampered that. They have just added another word. You enter with a, more with, kind of without any fear. You enter so that you can have a democratic dialogue. And this is what, more or less, what Tagore said long back, where the mind is without fear, where the head is high. I think that is what exactly the purpose of education, making children to become fearless. They can certainly have a dialogue. This is what basically even Paulo Freire said, Otherwise, the whole concept of education, the banking concept of education, is making our children more subjugated.
All right.
Yeah.
I do get that, doctor. But the thing is that children also have to learn that they can't possibly do cosmetic surgery to the writings, lines, thoughts you can. But what you read in a book is copyrighted, and they have to respect that, because this is one country also, doctor, where we pick up lines and use it to our advantage many a time, and that is something which should be discouraged. I have to take a break now. I'm going to come to all of you back in a jiffy. I have to take a break yet again. This is a very important announcement that I'm making. We are counting down to the big event that News9 is organizing this coming weekend. The News9 Global Summit is about the new India that is recognized as a rising economic power and a major global player. The theme of the summit is how India is poised for the next big leap. The What India Thinks Today Summit is being organized by the TV9 group, and this edition of the summit is unmissable and super special because the keynote address shall be by the Prime Minister of India, Narendra Modi. What India Thinks Today Summit, February 25th, 26th, 27th in Patel.
From fragile 5 to top 5, from a laggard to a leader, India under Modi has reimagined the world order. Presenting the second edition of TV9, What India Thinks Today. Summit theme, India poised for the next big leap. Listen to Prime Minister Modi unveil his vision for Viksit Bharat at News9 Global Summit, a TV9 network initiative. From fragile 5 to top 5, from a laggard to a leader, India under Modi has reimagined the world order. Presenting the second edition of TV9, What India Thinks Today. Summit theme, India poised for the next big leap. Listen to Prime Minister Modi unveil his vision for Viksit Bharat at News9 Global Summit, a TV9 network initiative.
How do you fulfill that promise? Because ultimately expectations have to be met. If you look at the political landscape, is it really changing for women? And what is the inability of the forces that dead bodies surface but not the living people?
We are trying a lot of experiments, innovations and ideas.
We came out with a new format in audio, which is audio series.
Listening for content-oriented company in India, which is a very unique proposition.
When you look at audio in general, we had music, which is like extremely old format, and then we had podcast.
A natural extension for Pocket FM is to move from Hindi to regional content. I think I'd love to see their FY24 numbers, which they claim will be close to 1,000 crores. I think there are talks of them to raise another $80 to $100 million of funding.
This and more. Streaming on News9 Plus. News is now content. Subscribe and get free vouchers.
Bangalore traffic is an example of something that has gone wrong with our system.
We have more than 50 flyovers in Bangalore city. If flyover is a solution to traffic problem, Bangalore should not have traffic problem.
According to TomTom Traffic Index 2022, Bangalore is ranked as the second worst city in the world when it comes to traffic.
The speed limit at the ORR is 80 kilometers per hour, but our vehicle has only moved 10 kilometers per hour.
What Bangalore needs is a surgery, but what we have been offered repeatedly are band-aids.
Only on the world's first news OTT. News9 Plus, ahead of the curve.
There's a new video around what deepfake can do.
We have seen a trailer of this a few days back.
Rollers should not be only on the platform.
We'll have to wait and see how those play out.
Hindenburg's report cannot be taken as gospel of truth.
Welcome back. The South Indian is back and we are discussing this. Karnataka is erupting over Kuvempu's tagline for schools and we have experts who are speaking about it. Let me now go to Prashanta, who is the BJP spokesperson. Prashanta, you know what has happened is, it's very unfortunate that there seems to be political lines which are now drawn even in and around, personalities. Tipu Sultan is a thorn, is a major point of, it's a contentious point. Also now Kuvempu seems to be dragged into this controversy. Now it is very obvious because apart from politics, except for Nizam and of course Dr. Niranjan Aradhya, who said, children should not be subjugated. I don't think children should also be directed towards reading something which is altered. It's a very serious, very, very serious offense. Now West takes it very seriously, we don't. Prashanta, do you think that Karnataka really needs to take a very, very closer look at itself when it comes to education. Look at all the controversies that have now come out in the open. Hijab Rao was there, NEP was there, then the committee which was formed under Baswaraj Bommai, whether we should teach them Hedgewar, Golwalkar, we should not, Nehru. What is going wrong with Karnataka? I want you to look at it as someone who's a young person. I mean, what is really wrong with Karnataka politics?
See, Sudhaji, one thing you have to look at it is how Congress has started to politicize the issue. If now you take this simple example of them trying to find escape route by saying a bureaucrat did this. Let us now understand, go to the root of the matter. Children should not be dragged into politics. What they study must be the actual history or actual truth.
Right.
They should not be fed doctored information. They should be taught history as it is, not what Congress thinks it should have been. So therefore, if the fact remains that Mughals invaded and destroyed our temples, we should teach our children that, look, India is a civilization which has held on for 5,000 years, and you had Mughals coming in, destroyed our temples, tried to destroy our civilization, but they could not. Children should be taught that. What is wrong in that? Why is Congress so upset that if children are being taught that Mughals invaded and destroyed our temples, Congress suddenly sides with those who destroyed our civilization? This is absolute making mockery of the education system.
All right. So
children should be taught what the real history was,
right,
what Bharat was, how developed we were. And they should also be taught that India's share in world GDP 500 years ago or 800 years ago was close to 25%. And now it is what, 6 to 7%. So they should be taught that.
All right.
And they should also be taught as to how we were destroyed by these invaders and how they have corrupted the mindset of people.
Nizam,
that people should be taught.
Yeah. So Nizam, are you going to take strong action against this bureaucrat who seems to have taken a unilateral decision without even consulting with others? Don't you think that it is now a matter, because some of your party members have also said that this is something which should not have happened?
See, Sudha, before I answer your question, I just need to correct our dear friend who should be ashamed of what he's speaking. India's GDP was 24% of the global GDP was under the Mughal rule. And he's feeling proud of the GDP, and he's talking of the temples being broken and the mosque being built, and then the mosque were broken and then the temples built. I think this is the kind of poison and the hatred that the BJP wants to basically bring into the school system and the education system. And that's the strong opposition that I make about the BJP's thought process and the ideology. We are more progressive. Arey ho gaya yaar, the Germany which was torn apart of the two, the World War II, and they came together and the world is moving forward. But here is a BJP which wants to drag the country back into the, the medieval times. Chalo hum fir se kapde nikal dete hain, patte pehn lenge, fir se puri दुनिया नई शुरू करेंगे. ये क्या बातें हैं बीजेपी और ये प्रधानमंत्री के और इनके मंत्रियों के.
लेकिन आप कुवेंपु पे आ जाएं.
1000 साल वापस जाना है. हमें वापस 1000 साल.
इस ऑर्डर का क्या कीजिएगा निजाम? इस ऑर्डर का क्या करेंगे आप?
इस ऑर्डर देखिए, मुझे एक बात तो बतानी पड़ेगी आप लोगों को कि हाथ जोड़कर बच्चे स्कूल में आएंगे ह्यूमिलिटी के साथ और पढ़ेंगे, वो भी सही है. अगर वो आते हैं करेज के साथ and they come with lot of courage to ask these kind of people the questions that they need to ask, I think that courage also needs to come into the education system.
But that is not, it's not the
BJP today. No, with Sudha, एक second. Sudha, it is the same BJP government, the Bommai's government, which did not provide socks and the shoes to the people, to the small kids. And it's the same government which took 1 rupee commission out of each.
All right, now we are going all over the place. Shashi, can I have Shashi on the screen? Shashi, sorry that we lost connection to you, Shashi. Shashi, once again, the teachers of these respective schools have said, no one took us into confidence. All this is done by bureaucracy. Shashi, I remember saying this many times, saying during COVID time when I used to discuss this matter with you, you always said, Sudha, no one takes the teachers into confidence. Even in this, altering the tagline, where are the teachers? Then you say, oh, teachers are the ones who actually impact the minds of the young ones. But where are the teachers in this case? A bunch of politicians and 2 bureaucrats. Happily, they are changing the tagline.
That is their stupidity mindset. Unfortunately, every time stakeholders are not consulted in any of the affairs in this country, especially in Karnataka also, the same thing. If at all the bureaucrat who has done this, he has to be severely punished. He has to be removed and thrown him in the other department. I don't know why, without the notice of the education minister, without the notice of the committees or the chief minister or deputy chief minister or education minister, such things happens is unfortunate. And all these gentlemen politically, they take us into a big scenarios, but not talking, tweaking that fine line of Kuvempu's say, what was it and how they wanted to tweak it. But my simple saying is, if you want to encourage the child to courageously question, let it be in the classroom, not in front of the school, in front of the devotional sentiment. It should not be the supplement of devotional sentiment. It should be a questionary which can be as academically.
But one thing is there, I think you agree, you know, politics apart, Shashi and Dr. Professor Chambi Puranik, that this order should be revoked. This should be taken back. It should be rolled back. It cannot remain like this. Thank you, Shashi. Last question. Professor Puranik, last.
There is no orders. There is no orders to withdraw. He has to be taken action because of giving such a verbal say.
Yeah, all right. I have just 1 minute to go. Professor Puranik, I have 1 minute. Professor Puranik, both Prashanta and Nizam Fauzdar are friends. I respect them greatly as political spokesperson. Very intelligent, both of them. But you see how at the end of it, it's all been politicized. I'm not blaming them. It's their job. My job is to conduct a debate, sir. I just want to ask you, Professor Puranik, it is so unfortunate, don't you think? Ultimately, the children belong to all of us, no?
Yeah, see, this is highly not only condemnable, but I am happy that the Minister for Education, Madhu Bangarappa, has said, I mean, this is not a thing to be done. So therefore, I think corrective action will be taken. And my only feeling is, see, coming with folded hands means it's not only physical, it's the kind of reverence that you have for the guru, for the teacher or the institution that imparts values. So it's a question, it's an insult to not only the poet laureate Kuvempu, but also it's an insult to the very teacher who teaches such values to the students. So questioning or being rebel or the kind of inquisitive mind, all those things as our friend educationist mentioned, it should be done in the classroom. You have a debate, you have model assembly, model parliament. You know, that is the way, but not this kind of tampering with the taglines which are being renowned, highly revered, highly inspiring and motivational. And that's what I see. It's an insult to a poet laureate Kuvempu.
Absolutely. Yeah, and on that, today I'm not going to thank you just like that. I'm going to fold my hands and thank you. Thank you, Professor Puranik. Thank you so much, Shashi, for joining us. Thank you so much, Prashanta and Nizam Fauzdar. बहुत शुक्रिया आपका कि आप हमारे शो में आए. I am seeing that fist which is risen. Thank you very much, Nizam. Thank you very much indeed. And now the South Indian has to go and do yet another story, and this story is something which is coming from Telangana. Just give me a second and I'm going to come back in a jiffy. Namaskaram, the South Indian is here, and you know, there is, we respect politicians who walk the talk. There is no doubt about it. You say it, Come on, do it. That's how you win elections after elections. Revant Reddy has ordered the caste survey in Telangana. Chief Minister of Telangana seems to be hitting the ground running. His government has unanimously passed a resolution in the State Assembly for conducting a door-to-door caste survey to cover all the communities in the state. The intent of this survey data shall be to focus on Telangana's large backward classes, that is BC, population and extend welfare schemes to benefit them economically, socially and educationally. It's clear that going forward with the Lok Sabha elections on the anvil, Reddy is bound to increase the quota for BC candidates in local bodies and keep the backward caste population on his side. In more ways than one, Reddy is walking the talk, what Rahul Gandhi has been harping for many months regarding caste census, and also the election manifesto, which I think is more important than what Rahul Gandhi said. Revant Reddy election manifesto, in which the Congress had promised to increase BC reservations in local bodies from the existing 23% to 42%, while also ensuring subcategorization within the BC reservation in local bodies, besides providing 42% reservation for them in government contracts for civil construction and maintenance. There is more. Commitment to spend 1 lakh crore in 5 years on BC welfare, a BC sub-plan to be named after Mahatma Jyotiba Phule, a separate most backward classes, that is MBC, welfare ministry to oversee the development of MBC castes, establishment of separate corporations for all BC castes, up to Rs 10 lakh in interest and collateral free loans for BC youth to establish small businesses or pursue higher education, and reduction in the age limit from 57 to 50 years for availing old age pension for all communities engaged in caste occupations. A move, of course, which is expected to cover a large number of BCs under the pension umbrella. In Telangana, there are around 134 BC communities, and this comprehensive data plan that Revant Reddy is planning is to serve most communities by what is called customized targeting with regard to their needs. And before the South Indian says bye-bye to you, let me remind you, it's a gentle reminder, we are counting down to the big event that News9 is organizing this coming weekend. The News9 Global Summit is about the new India that is recognized as a rising economic power and a major global player. The theme of the summit this time around is how India is poised for the next big leap. The What India Thinks Today Summit is being organized by the TV9 group, and this edition of the summit is unmissable. Reason? The keynote address is going to be delivered by none other than Prime Minister Narendra Modi. What India Thinks Today Summit is from 25th of February to 27. Do not miss it at all. That summit. We shall see you there, of course. For now, the South Indian says Vanakkam. Thank you for watching. I'll bring you more such stories tomorrow.
सौर ऊर्जा श्योर है, प्योर है और सिक्योर है.
Those who have not taken this benefit of the policy, I think they should come forward and take it.
Is the one little, कहते हैं ना, one drop in the big ocean. If you can put solar panels, it is wonderful. You generate your own energy.
This particular scheme has been enforced in every state. but Gujarat is considered to be number one.
तब से सूर्य नारायण भगवान की ये ऊर्जा सभी के गांव, सभी के घर पे आशीर्वाद भी बन सके.
Soon after the Prana Pratishtha ceremony on January 22nd, Prime Minister Narendra Modi announced the Pradhan Mantri Suryodaya Yojana, in which around 1 crore homes will get rooftop solar panels. And at present, nearly 70% of India's energy is derived from burning coal. Well, the objective is to generate 50 gigawatt of renewable energy for the next 5 years, which means it could light up nearly 850 million bulbs across the country. So the scheme could boost the rooftop solar program to achieve India's net zero mission 2070.
I'm very, very thankful to the government of India and as well as Gujarat that it has become now very, very easy for us, like entrepreneurs like us, to convince and understand, make it understand to the consumers that you go for solar energy. And with a payback period of hardly 2.5 years, with a subsidy of 40%, okay, it is very, very easy for any person to switch to solar energy.
My cousin from America, he was visiting me and he said, Jayesh, you are building a beautiful house and you have not provided any provision for solar. I said, I don't have any idea about solar. And then I started searching that what I can do for solar, what is solar. And then searching on Google and contacting people, you know, I thought this is a very good way to contribute to the nature. It's going to be an eco-friendly process in generating electricity.
In solar energy, information was very difficult to find out in the sense that who will really provide it. I went to a lot of private solar installers who were sort of giving me information, but it was very hidden information. Why? Because they want to make their extra money.
Awareness is not there from the government, from the DISCOM about the solar energy. However, the government is giving good targets across the world, but awareness to a residential customer is very low.
Gujarat is a shining example of a state successfully implementing a government-backed solar energy program. And there was a lot going for the state. First of all, it was an early adapter which began in 2015. Second, there was adequate machinery that was available for the people. And third, massive awareness programs. And there was, also quick subsidy dispersal. And the most important, the installation was hassle-free. Now, if you compare the situation in Gujarat with Delhi, then the situation is completely opposite. There's a steep amount to be spent for installation, lack of space in Delhi as usual in cities across, and this deters an average Delhiite to install solar panels.
इस सोलर पॉलिसी के तहत जो लोग अपने घर के ऊपर सोलर पैनल लगाएंगे उनका बिजली का बिल जीरो हो जाएगा. 201 से 400 वालों का भी जीरो हो जाएगा और 400 के ऊपर वालों का भी बिजली का बिल जीरो हो जाएगा. दिल्ली के सारे रेजिडेंशियल लोगों का बिजली का बिल जीरो हो सकता है.
The subsidy offered by the government is 40% on the entire project cost, and this is aggressively being adopted and accepted by the government of the people people of Gujarat. Okay, so once again I would like to thank the Gujarat government, and more importantly, this particular scheme has been enforced in every state, but Gujarat is considered to be number one.
So the first reason with Delhiites is the space that they have. Nobody wants to give the space, or they have a certain notion, certain idea that their space will be wasted or the space will be blocked.
I thought this is a very good way to contribute to the nature. It's going to be an eco-friendly process in generating electricity. And then it was decided that 12 kilowatt will be what I can arrange on your roof. And this was the first house in Gujarat, and it was an off-grid house.
And number two is the initial cost, which is very high. It's in lakhs. So, so the people want some like a loan, maybe initial capital support from the government.
The thing is that now people are switching into loan process, financings. So with that taking into consideration, it's just like paying an electricity bill or paying an EMI. So ultimately the break even comes out at around 3 years. So after that, the entire system gives you a performance warranty of 25 years.
So the number one is the space constraint. Number two is the initial investment, which is in lakhs. And number three is the awareness. People are not aware of the benefits of solar.
To be very, very honest, talking about the urban jungle, like I was mentioned earlier, here the people are educated. They know about solar energy. They can Google it, they can do anything. Okay, it is just talking to any certified vendors. Okay, so what exactly is the procedure? So it's a bit easy in talking about the cities and the urban area, but it's a major challenge to go into the remote areas and educate them about solars.
The main reason I see the Gujarat government grid is very nice, very efficient, right? Government policy is very friendly.